Today, we are talking about ourselves. We're talking about our autoimmune journeys, how it started, how we realized we had an autoimmune disease, and what triggered it, and then specifically what we did over the years to overcome it and be here today talking about it with you. So if you are new to our community, though, we are going to introduce ourselves so you know who you're talking to. I am Kasie Kephart. I'm the founder of the Feel Good Formula, and I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to get you back to the activities you love to do, trash those symptoms, get your life back, basically. And I reside in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines. And Jessica and I were just talking about burns from the sun, and that is definitely what is happening right now. So the sun shining is good, but we need to protect ourselves from the sun.
That is so
Jessica.
true. So true. And I'm Jessica Malnick. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group, and I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living life the way that they choose to, not the way that they have to. And the sun is trying to shine here in Saskatchewan. March is one of those months where it's still pretty much winter. It's really trying hard to be spring, but there are no spring flowers to be had in March in Saskatchewan. That does not come for quite some time yet.
Nor in Chicago. I think it's still snowing there. So you're not alone. I always forget that it's winter elsewhere because it's just always so nice here. And I feel bad for everybody that is bundling up right now. But, anyways, let's get on with our stories. I'd love to hear in the comments any questions or what you're thinking, what's going on with you. We'll be sure to comment and answer those back, whether you're watching live or on the replay. So, with me, it started in college. I started noticing symptoms. Um, my stomach started to hurt super, super, super bad. And I remember being in the Jeep of my ex-boyfriend's passenger seat, just hunched over. And all I ate was squash that day, random squash, I know. And I'm hunched over with a stomach ache. And I was like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done with my everyday stomach aches. This one's the worst. I'm going to go get a checkout. So I went to the gastroenterologist. He, based on my symptoms, he did a endoscopy, and my small intestine was inflamed. And so he concluded that I have celiac disease. 1% of the population, I think it's still 1% of the population has celiac disease. And he gave me this big packet, all printed out, and like, here, this is what your diet is. I had no idea what gluten was. This was, gosh, I don't know, 2013. So gluten-free was not a thing yet. And I just remember looking over it. I can't have wheat, rye, or barley. Okay, cool. Never heard of those things. It shouldn't be in a lot of food items, right? So I
Little
go
did you
back.
know.
I go back to my boyfriend's place for lunch. And I'm like, okay, so I can't have wheat bread. That's fine. I will just have white bread. I'll have a peanut butter jelly sandwich on white bread. I look at the ingredient label and I'm like, shit, it has enriched wheat flour in it. So that was my journey with that. But it didn't stop there knowing I was celiac disease, right? I still had my symptoms. I was still gassy, bloaty, moody, headaches, fatigue. Like I just felt awful. And um, so my journey kept going, and I went to the doctor because I'm still feeling kind of like awful. And then it finds out I have Hashimoto's. Go figure, right? After one autoimmune disease, you get another one. So that also tells me why I have the fatigue, why I'm all achy, why I have gas, bloating, bowel irregularity, all of the things. And come to find out right after that, I got diagnosed with Lyme's disease. So we're just like stacking all of these autoimmune diseases, all these chronic inflammatory diseases on top of each other. And I'm still feeling like shit, for lack of a better word, even though I'm eating gluten free. Something's got to change, right? Although I'm in the heat of college, I'm in a relationship, I'm, have 3 jobs, I'm doing all of these things that I feel like I need to be doing, but I have a lot of stress on my plate too. So as I started to educate myself about the foods, the more holistic side of things with paleo, autoimmune protocol, all of that, I started realizing that I'm eating all of the wrong foods for my body. And then I started learning why the heck this is happening to my body. So if I was thinking back in it, it started from the womb. So all of my stress growing up in a traumatic childhood, a traumatic home, a stressful environment, let alone just entering the world with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. So I started very stressed. Um, and then we keep going with toxic relationships, toxic food, having 3 jobs, and like all of this built up trauma inside of me that I never released. No wonder my body is attacking itself and fighting and in this survival mode and in this ball of just wound up tightness. So once I opened my awareness to the food side of things and to the diet, I was then able to start this journey of like, let's start eating good foods for us, not 3 bowls of oatmeal a day. Let's start eating some more meat, some vegetables, some organic. Let's start working on my stress. Let's not have 3 jobs. Let's get rid of all of my toxic relationships I'm in and have more self-worth and self-confidence. And let's not do CrossFit and burn out my body. And let's, instead go for walks. Let's get 8 hours of sleep instead of drinking till 2 a.m. All of these casual shifts I had to make to become the better version of myself for my autoimmune disease. And anybody out there listening to all of these changes, and it's a very high level, brief overview, it took years and years and years to figure this out and increase my level of awareness to what to do. So for anybody listening, that sounds very daunting, right? It sounds very like, oh my God, I'm never going to figure this out. This is why we do what we do, to help you find the answers quickly. So you don't have to spend 10 years just to get to where we are right now. So find somebody who has gone through this journey to figure it out for you, to help guide you, to help brainstorm ideas and hypothesize what is going on with you. But that aside, where I am today, I am healthy. I have energy. I play volleyball. I get sunshine daily. I go for walks. I have a great stress management. I have a community of support, including Jessica. I found people who understand me and know what I'm going through. I have great awareness. I have a great holistic support system around me if I need to go to them. And I have a positive outlook on life because I feel good every day. So it's not to say we don't have autoimmune flares anymore whatsoever. Those things are going to happen, but we know why we've gotten into them and we know how to get out of them, and they last so much shorter. So for anybody struggling out there, there's always an answer. There's always help, and there's always hope that you are going to put your autoimmune disease in remission. So just keep having that hope and keep reaching out for support. I'm going to be done because I can go on for hours about my journey, but
yeah, we could. There's so many facets, right, when it comes to our stories and how things develop and how to address the problem. Absolutely.
yeah.
My issues started later than Casey's. So I would have been in my early 30s, and When I really think about it, I'm like, oh gosh, like my health issues probably started in my 20s. I was in a very unhealthy marriage for about 7.5 years. I got married when I was 25. And I think that's when I started being in, like, I would call it survival mode, like when you're just in a chronic state of stress and anxiety. And you're just living in fear all the time. Like that, I think that's where I would say that it started. And just having that going on for years and years and years. And, I, at that time too, I had some jobs in there that were really stressful that I didn't enjoy. And then combining that with the issues within my marriage. And it was just like I was in a state of fight or flight all the time. And so fast forward to my early 30s when I decided to get a divorce. And oh my goodness, I changed my like entire life because I was like, well, I'm going to try to make myself happy in all the different areas. So I like moved back to my hometown, which is Saskatoon, and I love it here. And to be close to my family, close to my friends. And I started a new job right away. And I was also making plans to go back to school, which I did like about a year after that. So I literally completely changed my life in a very short period of time, which, even though a lot of those aspects were really positive, it was also tremendously stressful to adjust to all those changes. So eventually my body started to feel the effects of dealing with this chronic stress for so long. So switching careers, going back to school, and then starting an entry level position while I was going to school. And that's when, my body started to fall apart on me and having just like weird arthritic symptoms. And at the time, of course, I didn't think I had arthritis. I was like probably 34 or something. What is this anyways? Like, it's just some sort of weird inflammation. Like maybe I worked out too hard or something. Like I didn't think it was arthritis. And it was just such strange symptoms, and it would like come and go and come and go. And I still had a lot of stress in my life, like financially, when you're starting over and you're entering a new career and you're going back to school and you're living on your own. That was a lot of stress. And then that for my first attempt at going back to school in a new career was not a good fit for me. So then I had to go back to school and get a different job again. And so I had to deal with that, that change as well. And the feelings I had about not making my first choice work. And it just, over the years, it was kind of this off and on reappearance of these arthritic symptoms. And I was really fortunate that I decided to follow my passion instead of trying to force myself to do jobs that I didn't enjoy at all and that were completely unfulfilling. So I went back to school to become a holistic nutritionist, which I absolutely loved. And thankfully, that's where I was able to find the resources and the people who were able to guide me into the position where I am today, where I was able to figure out how to eat for my symptoms and how to eat for autoimmunity, how to eat for arthritis and inflammation. And that's why I chose to make this the focus of my business, because I didn't have, through the medical community, or even just at that time when I was experiencing these symptoms, I had no idea. And I don't think there was much out there at all for people like myself and who were dealing with issues like myself. So I really, I wanted to be able to provide a service for people who were dealing with what I was dealing with, because it did, like Kasie said, it takes a long time when you don't have someone leading the way for you and guiding you through the process. You're really kind of going all over the place, doing your own research, consulting various different professionals. And it takes a lot longer when you're kind of haphazardly putting together a plan. And so what we do is we make the process a lot quicker and much, much more simple, because we've been there and we know what to do. And so not only have we had our own personal experiences, but we also have the education to back what we actually teach and what we use in our own lives. So Today, I can say I definitely know like what I need to eat and what I what I can't eat, and of course, it does vary from person to person a little bit. We all kind of start in the same
Mhm.
template. And it doesn't say that I never ever don't feel well, but I have the tools and the resources, and I know what I need to do to get myself back on track if I, ever kind of have a bump in the road. And I always find, and I'm sure a lot of my clients and a lot of the people I talk to in my community, stress is a huge one. Stress is a huge, huge trigger for these conditions. Every time I ever had a flare up, it was always around a stressful event, like every time without
Absolutely.
fail, always.
Yes, always.
And so, even though I, of course, believe that nutrition is the cornerstone of like what we need to do to keep our bodies healthy, so is stress management. Like, that is huge. And that encompasses, like Kasie, what you were saying, toxic relationships, toxic jobs, toxic living environments. Like, there's so many factors that contribute to our stress. And it's so, so important to look at those things and maybe reconsider and making changes, like even sometimes major changes in our lives in order to be healthier. I'm not saying you have to get a divorce if you're going through a rough patch in your marriage, but like myself, it was years and years and years, and I had to do that to save myself, not only mentally but physically. And there's going to be other times too, again, trying a new career that didn't work out, and it was not a good choice for me. It was a super hard decision to make, but I had to do that for my health. And yeah, the physical and the mental are so intertwined. So, and that's something I could go on and on forever and ever, because
Yeah.
it's so important, so important.
Yeah. And I think both of our journeys started from putting ourselves first and making ourselves a priority. We can't just keep putting these things on the back burner, because they're going to become the front burner pretty soon. And that's when you're laying in a hospital bed because you can't take it anymore. So I think it all starts with making yourself a priority and then increasing your awareness along the way. But I want to highlight kind of what we both said in our journeys of what elements contributed to our autoimmune, because they're pretty standard in a lot. And I would say most to all autoimmune people, it's going to be triggered by one of these things that we're going to name off. So,
Mhm.
stress, Jessica just mentioned that, whether that's too much school, too much work, too much play, too much anything, too much stress is going to definitely cause leaky gut. It's going to cause autoimmunity or chronic inflammatory disease. Not enough sleep. We need that repair. Incorrect diets. That can mean Mediterranean, vegetarian, vegan, standard American diet, whatever that is. If you have the improper diet that is causing inflammation in your body, it's going to lead to chronic inflammation. Toxic relationships, like we just mentioned. Jessica, I feel like we should do another live on toxic relationships, because I love talking about it and we both have good bad experience with it.
Yeah.
Um, Major life changes. Sometimes we can't control this, right? We have a death, a divorce, a breakup, a move across the country, career changes. This causes stress, this causes inflammation, this causes autoimmunity. Negative thoughts. We've talked about this before. Your mindset can activate an autoimmune disease. As crazy as that sounds, it can.
Yeah.
A toxic environment, mold, animal feces, pollution, toxic household products. We talked a lot about the liver health and toxicity. And then financial stressors. Again, it's just another stress. So
Mhm.
these things are most to all the time sources of your autoimmune disease flares or disease in general. So, with the increased awareness, start looking into those factors and start to see what we can slim down, eliminate, or manage, or get help with, or find a community with. You have anything to add to that, Jessica?
Yeah, no, I just think that those are like really great points. And I think it sums up, our stories as well, because we all had aspects of those things going on in our lives when we got sick. And you need to address these things in order to get better. So, like I said, even though nutrition's super, super important, so are these other aspects. You have to look at these other areas of your life that are contributing to your illness. And one thing that I notice a lot, because most of the people I work with are women. Women do get arthritis a lot more than men do statistically. That's just statistics. That's just the way things are.
Damn
And
hormones.
yeah, and a lot of it is, women, the way we're socialized is to put everybody else first and put ourselves last. And so there's so many women I talk to, and they have been so busy throughout their lives, whether it's like they have a career, they're raising their children, you're in charge of the home, you're in charge of running your kids to activities, and then your parents get older, and then you're looking after ailing parents. And it's just like, and then where do you fit in there? And I find so many women, and they're not necessarily consciously doing it, but it's part, I think, societal expectation. And we're just raised to think that that's how you're just supposed to conduct your life. And then eventually you get to this point where you're not a priority in your own life, and you're like on like the back burner, and it's just, yeah, it hurts my heart when I see that, because I think that it's something that we really need to shift in society, and in terms of how we are raised, and just our consciousness and our culture in Western society about that. And it's not just Western society, but it is very prevalent here that women are always putting themselves last. And yeah, we'd be a lot less sick if we took care of ourselves.
Yeah. And again, it's increasing that awareness, because us women or men, anybody is not aware of that dynamic that has been going on, or that even contributes to chronic inflammatory diseases,
Yeah.
autoimmune diseases. So I hope everybody found this insightful, motivating, inspiring. Please put in the comments what you're thinking, thoughts, what you'd like us to talk about for other lives. And Jessica will be back on Thursday with you all.
Mhm.
And until then, have a good week.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.